Hello and welcome to another session of Learning Business Central presented by Infusion Solutions. A little bit about Infusion Solutions before we get started with today's demo. We've been in the Microsoft channel for over 20 years. We're located in Knoxville, Tennessee. We specialize in creative solutions and integrations within the Microsoft stack. We have customers located throughout the United States in a variety of different industries. We specialize in distribution, not-for-profits, higher education, healthcare, and we have a tailored solution for the wine and spirits industry. We offer consulting services on business processes, integration services, Power Platform development, GP support, and then Business Central implementations, support, and development. A little bit about me. My name is Matt Eldridge, a lead consultant here at Infusion Solutions. I've been with the organization for over 7 years now, and I help lead implementations, work on projects, and support. A little bit of an interesting fact, I do work out of Plymouth, Massachusetts, so I do work remote. I was in Knoxville for a little while and then decided to come back home closer to family. So I'm excited to get started with today's demo, so let's jump right into it. So now that we've entered in our purchase invoices and some credit memos, now it's time to pay the vendors. So let's take a look on how to do that inside of Business Central. So I'm back in my Business Central app on my home screen. And before I start to get into paying these vendors, I want to take a look at a report first. So if I click into my vendors section here, under reports, general, and then aged accounts payable, I'm actually going to run this report as of the end of May because I have invoices that are that need to be aged as of then. I'm going to leave my aging method as the due date, my 30 days length of aging, and then I'm going to print my detail here. Next, I can come down to the bottom and hit print. And as the report pops up, what I can see is it's grouped by vendor, and then it also shows me invoice detail and what aging bucket these documents are in. And it gives us a total amount due for every single vendor as well. If I scroll down, I can see all my vendors that have invoices to be paid by 5/31. Good. The next thing I want to do is show some different ways on how to pay these vendors. So the first one is going to be going right into our payments journal and creating a payment. So under cash management, I'm going to go into payment journals. And I have some batches created here already, including a payment batch. You can create new batches if you'd like, but in Business Central, you can set these up to be in a sense, a recurring batch, because when you post these from the batch does not go away. So I'm going to select my payment batch here. And then when I go in, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select a vendor account number to pull from. So what I want to do actually is focus in on gym supplies. And today we're going to be paying $100 to gyms. And then if I scroll over, I can see that I have other information already defaulted in there for me as you set up at the batch, as far as your balancing type, your balancing account number, and your payment method code. Something else I can do, I can actually say, I'm going to take this $100 and I want to apply it to an invoice. So I can do a couple different things. I can do that at the line. So if I look up the invoices open to gyms, I can select an invoice here, okay? Or I can cancel and I can use apply entries. So under apply entries, I can select these same invoices. So to do that, I would just click into the line, set my applies to ID, and then hit OK. Now I'm ready to go ahead and print my check. Good, so now what I want to do is I want to hit print check, and I'm going to say no to this. And And then I do have one check per vendor document selected here. I'm going to turn that off. And then down below, I can go ahead and I can hit reprint checks because of my bank account looks good, and then my last check number also looks good. So now when this pops to screen, I can see that I have my document number of $100 going towards, my check is going towards this document number here, this internal posting description. And we'll get back to this posting description here later on and how we can change that. This is what my check looks like. It looks good. I'm ready to get out of here. And then everything looks good to me, so I'm ready to post this payment. Perfect. So now, another option, under Pay Vendors. So if I go under my search here, and I just type in Pay Vendor, I can hit Vendor Ledger Entries here. And what this will actually let me do is it'll let me use my filters and sort to what I would like to pay. So if I look here, I can see I have all these documents open, but I kind of want to narrow down and get to one vendor. So I'm going to use my filter here. And then what I can do is I can use, I can actually select my vendor name, and then I can use what's called smart objects to find things by using certain characters. So by that I mean, if I want to look for my vendor name, I can hit Jim and then use an asterisk at the end and then hit enter, and what that will do is it'll give me anything that starts with JIM. And actually it's case sensitive, so it has to be a capital J. But anyway, you can see that my list here now contains only documents for Jim supplies. I want to add another filter here. And what I want to look for is I want to look for remaining amount is not equal to 0. And then, well, this actually worked out for us pretty well because it removed some credit memos. But using this feature here to pay invoices does not work well with credit memos. It groups them separately. So this is a great spot to do a one-off check. However, it does not include credit memos. That's one downfall to this payment method. However, I am ready to now pay these invoices. So what I can do is I can hit this little ellipsis and say select more. And I'm going to mark my 3 invoices. And now what I'm going to select is I'm going to select create payment. So now it's going to pop up and it's going to say my template name is payment, my batch name is payment, my posting date is my system default date, which is fine. And then my starting document number is an internal document number that we use for our to track our payments until the check has been posted. And then it will use a check number. My bank account is going to be my checking, and then my payment type is going to be my computer check. So I'm okay with all these defaults. So I'm going to say OK here, and it's going to take me to my payment journal. And now it's going to give me one amount here. Okay, so I can see that I have, I'm about to pay $1,075. So this all looks good to me. I have the rest of my defaults, as we talked about previously, already populated into my line here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to prepare my check, or print my check, excuse me. So I'm going to hit print check, and I'm going to say no. And then the same thing here, I'm going to leave that as unchecked, the one check per vendor per document number. And then I have my bank account and my last check number of 220, which is incremented since I printed my last check. So now I'm going to hit print. And then my pay stub is going to come up to the top here, and I can see that I have 3 invoices that I selected that I was going to pay. And notice the posting description. So one example I put in here to save time, I can change my posting description when I enter in my AP invoice. So if I want it to be something different than my internal document number, so as a invoice 107220, I typed in a test description here so we can see what we're paying here if we want to do that when we enter in our AP invoices. So this looks good to me. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cancel, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to post my check. Or my payment, excuse me. Good. So now if I go back and I look at my vendor ledger entries, I'm going to be doing the same thing. I'm going to be putting a filter on here under vendor name, and I'm going to do my same contains. And now I can see the payments that I have made for Jim's supplies here. And if I want to look at just my invoices, I can filter and I can look at my my document type, just my invoice, and I can scroll over to the right and I can see my amount remaining. I have one payment that I haven't made yet, but the rest are now 0. So these have all been paid now. So the last little bit I want to show how to use or to apply payments to and print our checks. I'm going to come out here, and under prepare, I'm going to use suggest vendor payments. So my last payment date, I'm actually going to select my actual document date here, or my actual date here. And then I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to leave summarize per vendor. I'm going to leave that unchecked, and we'll go over some examples on why we're doing that. Our posting date, I'm going to go ahead and do today as well. And then the new doc per line number, I'm actually going to leave unchecked. That's that internal document number that we talked about. I'm going to leave that unchecked. My balancing account type, I'm going to change that to bank account. My balancing account number, I'm going to select checking. And then my payment type, I'm using computer check. The next things, I'm just going to leave these unfiltered. So vendor and payment method code, I'm leaving unfiltered for now. And now I'm going to say OK. So this is going to build us one large payment batch with all of our vendors that are due. So if I scroll up, I can see that I have all my, I have a bunch of different vendors here, and I can see that we're about to pay these, or we can see which ones we want to pay. So one custom that we have in place here, you can see that as I look to the bottom, I have my number of lines is 22, but my total check amount is 0. So what we did is we actually created a custom to go ahead and check mark for payment here. If I open this up a little bit more, I can see that mark for payment is what's selected here. So as I'm starting to select my documents, my total check amount adjusts as what I'm checking. So I selected 4,500, and then as soon as I selected my credit memos, that total check amount went down until I selected my 1,600. And I can do that. I can actually sort by different fields in here. One of them is our apply to due date. This is also a custom that we put into place because there's another field in here that applies to due date here. This one doesn't actually sort, so we put in a custom that allows you to sort and see what due dates. We can actually pop those to the top, our earliest dates here, and then we can decide what we want to pay based upon those due dates. So that's another custom that we put into place. So something else that's neat, if I start selecting my checks here, again, I can see my check total grow. I can also open my fact box, and I can see my totals by vendor here as well. So we have a prepare check payment little drop down here, and I'm going to select mark all lines just so you can get a nice visual. And you can see that as I mark all my lines, my totals for my vendors grow as well. I'm actually going to focus just on Matt's marketing for this example. So I'm unselecting all of these other vendors here. And you can see that it's showing that over to my right, and it matches my total check amount. So now what I want to do is I want to go back into my prepared check payment, and I want to delete all unmarked lines to get the mess out of there, the ones that I'm not worried about. It's another custom that we have that when I select this, now it's just going to filter down to what I have selected. So I get a clearer picture. I don't have the stuff that I'm not worried about right now to pay. So last, I want to go ahead and I want to print my check. So this I'm going to do a little bit differently. So I'm going to hit print check. And as we've done before, one check per document number we've kept unselected. Well, this I am actually going to select this time because this document number is actually, like I discussed before, it's our internal document number. And like I'm kind of highlighting it over here to our left. And I want one check per that document number because I don't want to print 10 different checks here. And plus, it wouldn't let me print a check for credit memos that are because it's a negative amount. So I'm going to print my check. And I can see here that I have the list of my invoices, some credit memos that apply to it. And then I also did another example of our posting description for this vendor, and I put April advertising here. So I can see what this is applying, what invoice this is really applying to. But I have my check totals here. All this looks good. And then again, I'm going to go back and I'm going to go ahead and post my payment. Well, that's all the time we had for you today in this session. Hope you learned a little bit about accounts payable. And for more information and next steps on how Business Central can help your team, please contact info@infusion.com. You can give us a call at 865-688-3434 or check out our website at infusion.com. See you next time.